And welcome everyone to Jonesboro, Arkansas. 2024 Jonesboro Open is about to begin tomorrow. Round number 1 starts in the morning on Friday. First off, here at the press conference, we have the DGPT's own Phil Delaunay. Phil, how you feeling?
Great. Yeah. I think the team's good. We got a little reset off week coming from Texas States. So a lot of the guys have had a lot of time here in Jonesboro. Got to see, the total lunar eclipse for the first time ever. That was pretty impressive. And yeah, just ready for this exciting week on this course.
Talked to quite a few of the ops guys, and they kind of said, weirdly enough, for such a big property, smooth sailing, and the course looks better than it's ever looked, in my opinion. How do you feel about it?
I'll echo that. Yeah, I think the changes have been great. The new Tournament Central and experience is going to be a little bit better. I do miss the old hole 1, which is now hole 11. I do think it was one of the most iconic, starting holes on tour. However, the new old hole 14, which is now hole 1, is still giving that good drive bomber experiences on hole 1. So I think it should be exciting for the fans and just in general. So we are up at the top of quote-unquote Party Hill, and now this is, again, like you said, where Tournament Central is now. What can fans expect when they do come out here now? Yeah, fans are expecting a little bit different experience. So they're welcomed into more vendors. I think it used to just be people Party Hill. There wasn't too much going on out here. Now we have barbecue trucks, all of our DGPT shop, all of our vendors are going to be up here. So it's going to be a way better experience, I think, in general. As you arrive, you get ticketed, credentialed, all through one little seamless process. So it's going to be better. Old 11 and old hole 1 is still there, and it'll be a satellite check-in. However, there's not going to be as much, fan engagement down there. So.
I know you had your brief stretch on the tour, as we've said a few times, and you've played this course multiple times. How do you feel about the flow now that it has been changed to what it is now?
Yeah, the flows, I used to always coming down 17, which we're kind of sitting on, old 17, the par 4. You either fade left and go OB, or you're tucked off right and you don't have a shot. So I'm curious to see the suspense. Old 4 is a par 4. I think it'll play all right. It's more of it's going to be birdied at the top, and then I think now the downhill 18 is going to be nice. You're going to see some aces out there. We've already seen one this week, or maybe a basket hits, but it's going to be a cool one. It's not setting up nice for the lefty though to kind of finish down the stretch for 18, but I think it's going to be exciting. Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Well, funny enough, we have an all-lefty card going out there. We also have an all-Paul card, all players named Paul. It should be a really interesting first round to see how they attack these changes. I have one last question about a hole change from your perspective. Old hole 15, it was a kind of a chip shot hyzer, one of the easier holes on tour by score, is now a much more challenging par 3. Did you guys look at the scoring average and go, oh yeah, we need to instantly change this next year, or was this a longer process of discussion?
I think it's a longer process. Brad and I looked at it last year. I know he's been looking at it for a while. I do think, we have seen highlight aces on that multiple years in a row, it seems like. But I think it's for the better. This course plays and sets up well, so it's a good change. It's a good change.
So then one last thing that I have for you, looking at these really beautiful turf tee pads, I know in years past there has been issues with these turf tee pads, and just in general, they seem finicky, but the players seem to really like the surface. Talk about what goes into maintaining turf tee pads, and how do you feel about how they're looking out here?
Yeah, they're looking nice. Last year, our operations crew came out here early with another little gap, and we had a lot of time to actually put some boots on the ground and make sure that they were up to par in our standards. So we spent a lot of time on a lot of them, and throughout the off season, the LOC has spent a lot of time making sure that they're continuing, living up to the standard. So there's a nice crushed layer underneath them, and there's multiple, I said sediments. So there's they call it number 2 dirty P, or a couple different sediments where they lay the base layer. And then a more of a fine layer, and then they have the fines, and then they stretch the turf. So this is X-Step Pro. It's good turf. Everyone loves the actual, grip that they get on it. It seems like it's great in all weather too. So I think all players will be happy, and yeah, it's good. It's kind of locked in and nice and stretched, but just maintaining it over the years, you just have to make sure every year that it's, it's not saggy or stretchy in any parts, and then making sure that you're pulling it tight on the sides and putting solid staples in the center and making sure that no movement's happening and occurring.
Is testing the T-pads to test those things you're talking about, is that more of a tedious process than maybe people realize?
It can be, yeah. It's more like, aggressively working your feet in the ground, seeing if there's any movement going on and stuff like that. We take a lot of feedback from the players too. If there is a bad tee on the course, they for sure let us know during the practice week. So we have a lot of time to kind of fix that.
It's definitely a symbiotic relationship. Thanks, Phil.
Yep.
Hey, Phil.
How's it going?
Jefferson from the disc golf world here. I was wondering, who makes the decision to make these course changes? Is that the pro tour coming in, or is that the people here? How does that process go?
So that's it's the LOC, and we kind of stamp it with the approval of the pro tour. So Brad is the tournament director and course designer, and I think he's done a great job of, he's known and grown with this land, and he's designed a couple courses so far. So I think, yeah, he makes the initial kind of, hey, this is what I'm thinking for next year, and then we kind of run with it. And if we see any flags, we'll let them know, and we'll if we don't, we sign off, and it's good for the next year.
Cool. You were able to play the 8th here at Persimmon Ridge, and throughout the weekend, I kept hearing stories about your old touring days. Before I ask my real question, can you tell the fans about your life as a pro disc golfer before becoming the assistant tour director?
It was short but sweet. I did corporate events prior to building on a van, and COVID was the main reason that spiked me to be able to get an outlet and go out there on tour. I called it my life sabbatical for like a year and a half, 2 years, to given the opportunity to go out there. I broke my foot pretty badly and had like a giant plate and a staple in my toe. So my flexibility was down, and I kind of stopped playing as much. But yeah, played Persimmon Ridge. It was my 5th round of the year. The first round was great, shot 3 down, and then progressively got worse. So I've never had a humbling experience like that, and I'm happy that I did, because I went from shooting like a 10-12 rated round to an 880 rated round plus 19. So very, very good humbling experience. Yeah.
And then my last thing I just wanted to know, does having that experience on tour and living the quote-unquote disc golf life give you a better perspective on decisions that need to be made more so than someone that might not know the ins and outs of a professional disc golfer?
I definitely think it helps. Walking up to some tee pads, like knowing somewhat of the line that a pro's going to throw, allows us to help, like when it's turning to like where we set our assets up, where we can put the crowd, where it's safe to put the crowd, all those type of things, like where the landing zones are going to be for the top guys. I'd like to always add like 50 to 75 feet to my drive and say that that's like a higher rated pro. But yeah, it definitely helps put yourself in the mindset. And part of checking out Persimmon Ridge, that property was incredible. So just like thankful for the crew there. Luke Humphreys had me come out and check it out, and then threw me in the tournament. So yeah, I have not played in a very long time, so it was good.
Well, thank you for your time. We will be right back in a few.
Yep, take care.
Well, well, well. If it isn't Macho Mertsch back in the house. It's been a year since you've done disc golf media in character. How you feeling?
Before I answer any of your questions, I gotta plug this in. This is a Halo polecat. You know, it's mine. It's on the end of a site. You need to go get it. So that's pretty much it. What's your question?
My question, Mertsch, is a year ago, you had a wonderful victory here in Jonesboro. You took down the field.
Yeah.
In a pretty incredible fashion.
Oh yeah, big time.
Do you still think about that when you walk on these grounds?
Yeah, a little bit, for sure. The course has switched around, which I really enjoy the flow of. I got to the hole that I won on, and I was like, man, I wish I could, like, throw it up there for 2 or something. Whatever, you know. I'm here. I'm ready to play.
You're back in Arkansas. Have you gotten to see family, friends, people that you wanted to see since you've been out on the road?
Oh, yeah, I got to spend some time with my mom, my stepdad, my dog Bruce, who's a half Mastiff, half St. Bernard. He will eat you.
Big boy.
Big boy, yeah. Got to sing him his little kennel treat song. He's having a good time. Cat's been having a good time. Been digging in the dirt, just getting dirty. Looking for agates, boy.
Have you found any agates?
Yeah, I found I found my first red one, which was dope, and then I found another one with a black line through it. It's pretty dope.
A year ago, obviously you won the tournament, and now we fast forward to now. Has Cat Mertsch, the athlete, changed mentally or physically?
Probably physically. I've definitely worked out a little bit in the off season, and I put on a few pounds of muscle, which kind of like shocked me because I don't really gain weight right now at this point in my life. So when I'm looking down at the scales, it's all I thickened up. It's pretty good. So I'm gonna keep trying to get buff. Mentally, I am unhinged and I'm ready to learn about golf. I'm ready to learn everything that I need to know so I can become the very best.
Well, I was just about to ask you that. You did a great interview on Instagram with Innova, and you said when you were a little kid, it was your dream to wear the Innova wings on your back.
Heck yeah.
Now you have the Innova wings on your back. You have titles under your belt now. What's the dream now?
To be number one, it's as simple as that. I mean, Kristin's number one. She's pretty good. So I guess just somehow become better than Kristin, if that's possible.
Where do you think those strokes are getting bled when you look at the performances this year?
The putting in my sidearms, dude. I've been throwing some of my sidearms just absolutely sideways, and I haven't been putting the way that I know how to putt. I've been really mental about it, which sucks because I think I'm good at putting. But right now, I'm kind of like backsliding a little bit, but I am getting better. So I think that's where most of my strokes bleed from.
When you say backsliding, is that something where you actively go out and practice extra to try to quote-unquote fix something, or are you just kind of riding the wave with these types of things?
You have to ride the wave. At least I do. Some people can work through it, and I think it's smart to get out there and work your stuff, but for me, I really enjoy just letting the process happen and learning as I go, because that's just the way I do, man.
Well, Kat, I have to ask you one last question before I pass it off.
What?
You're holding the polecat right now.
Yeah, dude.
What started as a joke became a reality, and people love the disc now that it's being made pretty consistently. How would you compare yourself as a person and an athlete to the polecat?
To the polecat, very flexible and can go any way. You know, the polecat can get along with all types of variety of people, from beginners to pros. I mean, I throw it, you know.
Kat,
yeah.
Thank you so much. Good luck out there this week.
Thank you. Dude, that was pretty good. Oh, we're still going?
Yeah, we're still going. Hey, Kat, Swiss with the disc golf world. You're in your home state and defending champ of this event. Is there additional pressure? Do you feel any additional pressure going into this?
Absolutely, I feel pressure. I feel pressure from my family because I don't want to disappoint them even though they love me no matter what. I feel pressure from the people because I know they want to watch me do good. And I feel a lot of pressure, the most pressure, from myself because I don't want to let anyone down. I want to be the best that I can be, but sometimes it's just not like that, and that's just part of that process.
And besides wrestling cosplay, it has been rumored you warm up with an actual whip.
Yep.
Could you go into that, and has it helped your forehand at all?
Absolutely. I feel like my forearm's gotten beefier. I can definitely break skin with it. I have to change the tips off because I destroy them a lot. It helps my shoulder. It definitely tightens my shoulder up a little bit, but it allows it to be loose and allows my rotator cuff to kind of move around and whatnot. So, yeah, man.
Cool. Thanks, Kat, for your time. We will be back in a few.
Nice.
And welcome back, everybody. Joined here now by the defending champion, Calvin Heimburg. Calvin, you have won the past 2 Jonesboros. You've actually won 3 out of the last 4. How you feeling this week in Jonesboro?
I feel pretty good. I didn't play last week, so I got out here a little bit early. So I've been able to get a handful of rounds in and, kind of take it a little slower during this practice week. But I'm feeling really good. And, the course is mostly the same. They got renumbered, but, for the most part, the holes are playing the same.
Did you get a chance to go check out the totality the other day this week?
Yeah. I drove a little northwest of here to get a little closer to the center so I could experience it for a little bit longer. Definitely a really cool event, and you could see people were in town from pretty much everywhere to see it.
Did you get the full 4.5 minutes of totality?
Yeah. It was probably close to that. I'm not sure. I didn't have a timer going, but it was definitely close to that.
Okay. Well, let's zoom into this tournament in general. You obviously played extremely well here, and you've played it well in a lot of different conditions. Now with the flow change and with a few holes being changed as well, do you feel like it's playing any harder, any easier than it has in the past?
You know, it's difficult to say. I don't think it's going to play like that much different as far as scoring. You know, I think 17 is probably easier to birdie now than it was before, but
old 17.
Old 17. Yeah, I have no clue what number it is now on the course. And the other hole change, whatever, new hole 2, that one's definitely going to be a little harder. But I think it'll probably score pretty similar. I'll be curious to see how some people might attack a couple holes being in different places on the course. Like I'm really interested to see how whatever 18 now plays. I still think depending on the one, you're probably going to see a ton of layups. It's just not the most scoreable hole. But I'm curious to see if a lot of people play old 18, whatever. It's maybe 9
10.
right now, 10.
Yeah.
Now that it's in the middle of the course, you know, I feel like people may take that a little more cautious approach to it because they don't feel like they need strokes, you know, coming down their last hole in the pass.
Do you think new 18, old hole 5 could potentially set up for some heroics late? Do you think the hole lays out for that?
I mean, it definitely can. It seems like, I mean, worst case scenario on that hole is a bogey. Like you throw it out of bounds and like it's a really short up and down for bogey. So, I mean, I guess if like, you know, it is a 2-stroke game, anything can happen there. But like if it is 2 strokes, like the person who's winning is probably just laying up and then getting a 3.
True.
So I don't know. I'm not sure that you can see as big of stroke swings on that as you could on old 18. Old 18, like double bogey, was just as much in play as a birdie.
Mm-hmm. How many practice rounds, because you got out here early, have you gotten in?
Good question. I've probably got in like 6 or 7 over the past week, so more than normal. But I've been able to space them out, you know, over more days, so it's not like I've really been grinding too hard.
Would love to hear just kind of an injury update from you. How's rehab going? How is the arm feeling? And any forehands being practiced right now, or still sticking to the strictness?
Yeah, no forehands being practiced. You know, rehab's going well. I just think really there's more tournaments that I care more about later in the season, and there's not really any reason for me to push it right now. So no forehands. It's possible if I come down the stretch and maybe need one that I might try to bust one out, but for now I think it's pretty much strict no forehands, which I think for the most part you're okay without out here. It's going to depend on some wind directions. There's definitely a couple of holes that are going to play way harder, but as a whole I think like the past couple courses I can still attack a lot of holes with only a backhand.
Looking at your statistics after the chess.com, 3rd place, 5th place at Austin and Texas States, so clearly not terrible performances by any means. At Texas States most specifically, I saw you on hole number 2 going with that backhand turnover, trying to drag it left to right. That seemed like one of those shots where you have to maybe work a little bit harder. Do you feel like you're kind of getting more reps on some of those more technical turnover lines?
Yeah, I mean, definitely getting more reps. I mean, it's not something I was, you know, throwing very much of last season. I would just, you know, go to the forehand, and I think, you know, I'm slowly getting better at them. Yeah, I mean, a backhand turnover is always going to be a little harder than a forehand hyzer.
Well, Calvin, thank you so much, and good luck out there this week.
Thank you.
Hey, Calvin.
Hey.
Jefferson from the Disc Golf World here. The people want to know, are you bagging the Halo Groove?
I have not thrown the Halo Groove yet. No, I do have a box of them waiting for me, but I have not gotten a chance to throw them. That was my go-to distance driver when I was like playing in advance though. So,
How did your face end up on like the most hated but most liked disc to be made?
It was just I got approached by the people at the factory store, and they wanted to do something for April Fools, and I was like, sure, let's do it. So, but yeah, I have not gotten a chance to throw them. I'm very interested to see how they fly. The Groove, I think it gets more hate than it probably deserves, just by how it feels. I think it actually flies pretty good. I mean, I haven't thrown it in a long time, but I remember it flying really good for me back in the day. So,
interesting. All right, you're nearing a calendar year since your last victory. Heading into an event you have won 3 times. Do you look at this tournament to possibly kick off the push for the rest of the season?
I mean, I guess it would be great to win. I mean, I'm always out there trying to win. I'm not necessarily approaching this event any differently. I think I approach every win with the intent to try to play my best and win. So this event's really no different than the other. I have any other, but I've had success at this one. I think this course sets up really good for people that are throwing the disc well. So if I can, execute well off the tee, I think I do have a chance out here.
Thank you.
All right, what's up, Calvin?
Hi.
Matt from Wild Runs. So kind of following up with that, with your last win being here, do you feel more confidence or stress coming into it?
I haven't really thought about it as more confidence or stress. I'm just taking it as another event on tour. I think it's easy to necessarily get caught up in the bigger picture and look at, where this event sits on the calendar, or what I've done in the past, but none of it really matters. I still have to come out here and execute the same shots regardless of how I performed in the past.
Yeah. And kind of adding on to that, I assume the answer is no, but do you have any expectations coming into this event?
Nope, no expectations. Just, I guess the only expectations I have are for me to stay focused for, three rounds of tournament play.
All right. Last question, favorite hole?
Favorite hole on this course would have to be hole, what is that? God, I guess old hole 2. I think that might be like 12 or something now.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. That's probably my favorite hole on the course.
All right. Awesome. Thanks for your time.
And we'll be right back in just a few. Welcome back, everybody. Joined here now by Kristin Tattar. Kristin, you had somewhat of a quote-unquote off week. You played a tournament at the beautiful Persimmon Ridge. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I think it was good to keep myself busy in that sense, but also it felt like a off week because it was a smaller tournament and didn't really have the Pro Tour vibes. But it was wonderful. I loved it there. The hosts were super nice and I loved the course.
Did you get a chance to see the totality in the eclipse this last week?
Yes, I did. We stayed there for the eclipse, and it was I don't know. It's hard to describe with words. It was just something to experience, and I was just trying to take it in fully, and yeah, it was magical.
Definitely one of the more bizarre things I've also witnessed as well. Pretty incredible stuff. Talk about your performance last week. Talk about how it felt to go out there and play freely. You had one really solid round and took down the victory. How did the game feel out there?
My game felt very good. There was a lot of forehands on the course, so I think it suited my game and Owen's game, and we were like battling it out on the course, and it was so nice to have somebody keep me on my toes. I think it was one of the best practice to have, you know. Yeah, and I made some putts. I was super close to having all the rounds really hot, but just messed up a couple of holes. Yeah, I think overall it was a good weekend.
So far this year, it has taken over 1,000 rated golf to win every single tournament this year, Elite Series or Major. Last year, there were 8 total tournaments where that was the case. Do you feel the rise in competition coming from everybody else?
I mean, definitely. I think there's a lot of factors. I think everybody's ratings are better, and that's why we're also getting better ratings. But I can see that the skill level and the way these ladies are performing, it just keeps rising, and I think it's so inspirational and keeps everyone on their toes and working hard. So I think it's incredible time to witness and be in the mix with all the best players. Yeah.
So as an athlete, is that exciting to kind of get to be a part of those battles week in and week out?
Yeah, for me it is, for sure. I think it would be boring otherwise.
Well, let's talk about this course this week, Jonesboro. The whole flow is completely different. A few holes actually changed, especially for FPO. How are you feeling about that layout?
I really like the course here. I've always loved it. I think it's just a beautiful property, and I like the design of the holes. It requires like different kind of shots, and it's a very fair course. You just have to execute here. Couple of the holes that used to be almost like guaranteed birdies for women, I feel like are now very tough to get a birdie on. So it will be interesting how it plays out, but yeah, and it's hard to like depict any like scores because it depends on the wind, I guess. But I feel like there's still a lot of birdies out there, and I'm hoping to get them.
Well, I have one specific question about a hole change.
Yeah.
I'm still wrapping my head around the layout as well as we walk these grounds, but it was old hole number 16, par 5 for the men, par 4 for the women. If you can recall, I believe now it's pushed back to a par 5 for the women. Do you like that change? I know some players are saying the tee shot was a little finicky in years past.
Yeah, I like the change. I think it makes it a lot better hole. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Kristin, thank you so much for your time, and good luck out there this week.
Thank you.
Hey, Kristin.
Hey.
Swiss with the disc golf world. Coming into this event, what part of your game will need to be strong this weekend to push for a victory?
Just give myself opportunities for birdies and make all the putts. I feel like the putting game is super strong amongst women, and if you have an opportunity, you have to capitalize.
Do you have a favorite hole on this course? And has it changed with some of these changes from past?
I don't know if I have a favorite hole. I think I just like the course as it is, like a combination of different shots, and I think it's just a nice golf course. So I just like it the way it is, and don't want to like point out the hole specifically.
You said the grounds are special with fans. Does this tournament excite you with the fan base? Are you excited with the new changes with Party Hill? Hopefully drawing some more interest along those lines also.
Yeah, I think the fans always been great here. I've always felt very loved here. I have one of my special wins here where also my daughter was able to attend 2 years ago. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting some revenge on this course from last year. I wasn't performing so well or as good as I was hoping for. So yeah, I'm just going to take it one hole at a time and hoping everything works out for me.
When you talk about putting, obviously with wind currently, we have it right now. Does that change your approach at all when you're looking at some of these putts this weekend?
I guess at times it's just depending on the situation. Just have to be reasonable, don't do anything too stupid, and I think it all comes down to the confidence. If I don't have the confidence in me, don't do it and just lay up, and if you feel confident, you can even run the risky putts. That's what my experience says, at least.
Awesome. Thank you for the time. Good luck this weekend, and we'll be back in a few.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back. Joined here now by current number one on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Anthony Barela. Anthony, you came off of the Texas States shooting some ridiculous disc golf, and you looked like you were just completely in control. How do you feel post-tournament?
That one just didn't feel like it actually happened. It was just like a crazy hectic week. Like with the second round I shot, I was just like, I don't know, it was like scores didn't really matter that final round. I just like needed to win the tournament. And yeah, it's just both those wins happened so quick. It just feels weird that I'm already a two-time Disc Golf Pro Tour champion. So it honestly hasn't even really settled in yet.
I want to ask you a question about something, a couple things you said. At your Champions interview, you said that was the most stressful I have ever felt during a round of disc golf. Do you like stressful moments like that? Because I know the guy chasing you, Gannon Burr, just hilariously says how much he hates stress and pressure.
I like the feeling of like coming down the stretch and like having a chance to win. It's just, that's the feeling we all chase. And yeah, that round was super stressful. It was just like you're puckered every single hole, like every hole is just really scary. And in the moment, it's just hard to like deal with, but like after the tournament's over, it's just so cool to look back on and like see that you were in that moment and you overcame it. And then I got to go home last week and decompress and reset a little bit, so we're back and we're ready to go.
You were asked by Nate Perkins, who was trying to hype you up in an interview at that tournament. He's like, Anthony, are you the best player in the world right now? And you looked at him and said, I don't know. When is it going to feel like you're the best player in the world, or are you ever going to really care about that?
I don't know. It's I'm ranked as number 11 in the world, and I don't feel like I'm the 11th best player in the world, but I don't know. Maybe once if I can hit number 1 on the PDGA rankings, I feel like, I don't know, I'd have to sweep all of the stuff to like feel like really the best player in the world.
So let's talk about the world rankings, actually. Some people were kind of shocked that you're not listed at world number 1 right now, but PDGA World Rankings, designed by Mark Brody, who works with professional golf, tracks 104 weeks of golf. Do you agree with that?
I mean, yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. I think it's a good system. I trust in it, and I just have to do my part to keep climbing the leaderboard.
So I want to ask you kind of alongside those lines, you've been playing since you were a kid. You grew up in a disc golf community being the little kid, and you've grown up playing professional for such a long time. I'm sure for a while you just kind of always felt like an underdog. Do you still kind of feel like that even though you're number 1 on tour? I
don't know. It's like people have built these expectations for me, and I'm just like, if you think I'm going to win every tournament, you're going to be disappointed. Like it's not an easy thing to do. But I don't really know what I feel like right now. I'm just like playing right now. I'm just cruising.
It's probably a good thing to feel, huh?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this course then. Let's talk about how you feel out here at Jonesboro. Currently, the wind's like 15 miles an hour. It's probably going to get worse, as it always does. How do you feel about this track in general?
I like the changes to like the flow of the course. I think it makes like some of the tougher holes a little bit easier for me. I hope it's windy this week. I like playing here in the wind because it makes a lot more scoring separation. And there's new baskets out here. We're not playing on the Prodigy baskets anymore, so they like look bigger. So it looks like putting might be a little easier in the wind. So yeah, I love this course. It's always been one of my favorites. It's just beautiful. It feels like disc golf heaven really does. And I'm excited to play this tournament.
I want to talk about a couple things. Calvin had some thoughts on Old 18 now being in the middle of the course, and now Old Hole 5 being Hole 18. What do you feel like that changes kind of in regards to the flow of the round? Like what kind of late heroics can happen out there?
I feel like if you can get to hole 18 with a 2-stroke lead, you can almost guaranteed win, but with that other hole you couldn't. So I think, I don't know, it's just going to have to be like a birdie fest down the stretch. So, and then hole 5, I guess if you're down 1, you can go for it and really like do that hero shot. So it makes for like a cool ending, but I definitely like hole 18, the old one, better.
It's definitely an iconic hole. It's probably going to be tough being in the middle of the course. It might drain some players if they don't shoot too well on it. I noticed something at Texas State's I wanted to ask you about gameplay-wise. I almost never saw you throw a forehand with an overstable approach disc. I'm guessing either a zone or a zone OS. You always seem to opt for that like floaty nose-up putter on the backhand. Is that a recent change to your decision-making, or do you feel like you've always kind of leaned on that shot?
It's been like a recent thing, like mentally. I just feel more confident with like a turnover or like an Anheuser release on a backhand than I do with a sidearm. I don't know, it hasn't been working for me with the touch sidearm up shot, so I know I'm good at that backhand, so I just don't even need to throw it really.
So you're just kind of riding the wave. If the forehand starts to feel better, will you kind of opt for that as well?
Yeah, it's always changing. We'll see. It might come out this week, but I don't know.
Well, AB, thank you so much. Good luck out there this week.
Thank you.
Hey, AB.
What up?
Jefferson from the disc golf world here. You talked about the change in basket and putting might be play a little bit easier. How much does that change from basket to basket?
I don't think it changes much. I know people complain a lot about. I think these are veterans, right, out here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know people complain about them a lot, but like, I don't know. I saw a lot of spit outs on Innova baskets and what do you call it? The Prodigy baskets, like last tournament. And these get their fair share of spit outs, but these baskets, like, they look huge. Like, I don't know how people don't like playing on them. I love them.
Is there any other basket that is your favorite, you'd say?
My favorite basket is probably I like the Mach X. It's just like you can slam them in there as hard as you want, and they like don't ever spit out. And they like sound cool. It's like a deeper like chain sound. It's like crazy.
Is there any specific part of your game that sticks out to you right now? I know people always say distance, but anything else that's feeling particularly good?
I would say like my down tempo, like force over, like flex shots is like probably my best shot right now.
Cool. How was the celebration after the second win? Is it getting old yet?
No, it's not getting old at all. It's we got to celebrate last Saturday back in Arizona with all my friends, and we had a blast.
Okay. And then honestly, the only question I really cared about is, since you've had time to sit and think on it, what's your favorite song off 2093?
It's gonna be Never Quit. The beat change is just crazy. I love that song.
All right, what's up?
What up?
Wild Runs. First question, coming into the event after 2 wins, do you really think that you care how you finish here? Or is it kind of just like gravy now that you've had 2 wins early on in the season?
I mean, I'm just gonna play my game and like just try to put myself in the mix down the stretch, and that's all I really can do. And if I feel like if I can get like within 1 stroke or have like a lead going down the stretch, I feel like I can win the tournament. So that's really when the true tournament starts, is that final round.
Doing a deep dive, do you think you're playing better now that you got that first win under your belt, feeling a little bit more confident?
I definitely have the confidence build that's propelled me to play like elite level every single week. So I think the win helped, and hopefully this one will help even more and make me play even better.
Yeah. And last question, do you have any assignment lines lined up for this tournament?
I don't think so, honestly.
All right.
The only one I can think of is that hole over the ravine right there. I think it's hole 7. I two'd that hole yesterday in my YouTube video, so I'm going to try to do that again on Jomez, hopefully.
All right, awesome. Thanks for your time.
Yes, sir.
We'll be back soon.
And welcome back. Joining us now is the tournament director, Brad Pietz. Brad, thank you for joining us. I know it's the calm before the storm. How are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good, actually. We had a big forecasted rain a few days ago, so we pushed really hard to get the course set up early, thinking that we were going to have a lot of rain, and so the course was set up almost 4 or 5 days ago, and so we're in the final touches right now.
Well, this is a pretty big facelift. Lot different course that we're seeing this year on a few levels than in previous years. Can you talk about the changes and how quickly after last year's tournament you started talking about that?
Well, actually we started talking about it even before last year's tournament, to be honest with you. Tournament Central, the Pro Tour, everything is just getting bigger and bigger every year, right? And our old Tournament Central 8 years ago worked just fine, but it quickly got too small. So we knew we needed to do something to be able to give the fans more area to enjoy, more of a hospitality type setting. So we moved everything out here to Party Hill. Party Hill's always been one of the crowd favorites. You can sit here, right behind me, and you can see, 6 different holes in 180 degrees. And so it's a fantastic place to watch disc golf. So we decided to reroute the course and to move Tournament Central here to Party Hill.
How satisfied are you with the flow of the course now that the hole numbers have been changed?
We've played it a couple of times, and so far it seems really well. Historically, we've been about a 3 to 3 hour and 15-minute round. So, we've always played really fast. And the 2 tournaments that we've had in the new flow, same thing. It's about 3 hours and 15 minutes. So I'm comfortable with that the flow should maintain time and speed and no backups, hopefully, and all that kind of good stuff. So from that standpoint of it, I'm very satisfied.
Well, let's talk about a couple holes that did flip-flop, and some are now on the back 9, some are now on the front 9.
Right.
Old hole 1 was just an iconic starting hole. Now it's in the middle of the course at hole 11, but we now start on hole number 14 going down the hill. How do you feel about that change and how 14, or now new hole 1, is going to fare?
Well, that was one of the biggest deciding factors. You're 100% right. Hole 1 is a very iconic hole 1. People come from all across the country every week to play this course, and it's so cool to see people drive up in the parking lot, get out of their car, and it's staring at them, right? Everybody's eyes get huge, and there it is, right? So that hole is a very iconic starting hole. So I didn't want to lose that, and so that's why we moved it to hole 14. We'll put the grandstands behind it, and you can still see the full flight of the disc. It's still a long, powerful shot, just like old hole 1. So I didn't want to lose that feel. So I feel pretty good about that.
I know so much goes into putting a tournament like this on, and year after year we talk about the people who really deserve a bulk of the credit, outside of the tournament director and the Pro Tour. Right. Who are the real heroes this week that have helped put this
Jonesboro
on?
Disc Golf Club. This place, we maintain this ourselves, and it's just the championship course sits on 55 acres. And so we've got guys who come out here and mow in their free time. We got guys who come out here and build the tee boxes in their free time and cut down thorn trees and weed eat. And it is a massive undertaking to keep this place going. And then the summertime, that's what's so crazy is about 2 months from now, this grass will be about 4 feet tall. And we cut it in the fall, then we work on it all fall, all winter, all spring to get it back to this shape. And so those guys, Daniel Lee is the president of the of the Jonesboro Disc Golf Club. He's the one that kind of really spearheads the effort. Eli Webb has done a lot for us, and if I started naming names, I'd leave people out, right? Yeah. But those are the ones that make it happen.
Well, the last question that I have specifically, hole number 18, you and I have talked about this, was just such an iconic finishing hole that had some serious drama happen over the years. Now it's hole number 10,
right
at the middle of the course, to challenge the player's stamina. How do you feel about that positioning? Does it kind of break your heart a little bit?
Totally. Hole 18, in my opinion, is one of the best holes on the entire tour, and it's a fantastic disc golf hole. The problem with it is you can't see it. If you're a VIP and you're standing behind the tee box, you can't really see where a drive lands. If you're behind the green waiting for him to come up, all you see is a disc come up over the hill, and you have no idea who threw it. So with as great of a hole it is, it's not very good for spectators. And so to see it in the middle of the round now, it breaks my heart because of hole 18 was a lot of drama. We've seen that the last 2 years, right? But again, we did that. Now the new hole 18 is going to be visible from the tee shot to the green, we can have people surrounding the entire thing and see it from all angles. So if that drama's coming down to hole 18, now everybody can be there and see it.
Well, if you need me to help you build the high ropes course to get the spectators in on that old 18, let me know. Thanks, Brad.
Yes, sir.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Jevin from the Disc Golf World here. Speaking of 18, and as a TD, how do you find that line between what's best for players and how the hole plays, and then spectators and how they're going to see the hole?
How do you find it? That's a great question. It's something that you want to make sure you balance. And, the new 18, it sees a lot of drama too, right? That shot has seen people come up short and go out of bounds. It's seen, unfortunately, people hit the bottom of the band and bounce out of bounds. And something else we did to it this year was to shorten the drop zone by about 35 feet. So now, that drop zone shot hopefully will be hit more than it's been hit in the past. It's still a very challenging hole. But like I said, it's 520 feet, and you can have fans all the way around it on 180 degrees of it. So to me, I think it's going to work out really well.
Cool. Is there any other small changes or things other than the holes being different order that fans should keep their eye out for?
There's one small change and one huge change. The old hole 15, which is now hole number 2, it was one of the shortest, one of the quote-unquote easiest holes on the entire Disc Golf Pro Tour, right? And it was designed that way. It was designed to be an easy hole before the hard finishing 16, 17, and 18. And so if you miss that, if you made a par, if you even made a bogey on it, it's in your brain as you're finishing 16, 17, 18. So now that it's hole 2, we pushed it way up on the hill just to make it a little bit more challenging. And then the second change is the big change that I'm saddest about is, I am sitting on the tee box of old hole 17 right now. So old hole 17 used to be this beautiful par 4 dogleg. We cut it down to where it's now a par 3, and we put the tee shot exactly where a perfect tee shot would end up from old hole 17. So the green hasn't changed, the approach shot hasn't changed. It's just now it's a par 3 from where a perfect tee shot would land.
Cool. Thank you for your time. I'm excited to see how it plays out. We'll be right back in a few.
Thanks.
Welcome back, everybody. Joined here now by a native to Arkansas, Kevin Jones. Kevin, back in the home state, how you feeling?
I feel really good right now, getting things dialed in. It's nice to be in the home state. I feel the support.
Have you gotten to go home and see family, friends, anybody like that you haven't seen in a while?
I've been seeing some friends recently, for sure, but most of my family has moved out, except my grandma. It was her 93rd birthday this last Saturday, and I got to see her. She's in Maumelle, so that was great.
Talk about that, the concept of coming back to your quote-unquote home state, but then your family has moved out of it. Does it still feel like home when you come back here?
1,000,000% it feels like home. I'll always be an Arkansas boy. I was raised here for like the majority of my life, and I just feel it big time when I come here.
On YouTube, there are videos that are very blurry of you when you were just a kid, early teens, maybe even younger than that, thrown out in your front yard here in Arkansas. Talk about those years learning the game out here, what courses you played, and kind of how you came up to be who you are now.
So I was playing on courses like Bell Park, Ben Guerin, and Alma Flying Disc course. And these are courses that are par 3 majority courses, anywhere from like 400 feet being the max to about 250 to 400 feet, I'd say, and maybe they'd sprinkle a long one in there, but everything was considered a par 3. I would always play the leagues. That's how I really got into disc golf here. There would be about 15, 20 people show up per week on these leagues, and that's how I really started getting competitive with it.
Well, talking about playing as a kid, now it's your full-time job and has been for quite some time now. How different does that feel now that it is your job versus the thing that you did just because you loved it?
I don't know. When I was young, about 13, and I was coming down this whole 18s fairway at Bell Park, I can remember that feeling. I was the happiest that I could have been. I was doing the only thing that I wanted to do at that time, and I can still absolutely have those feelings. It's a little different when the disc needs to go straight for your job to be on the line, but I can always find the love for the game that I had when I was 13 at Bell Park.
Well, there's a lot of people that are just begging to see you play some disc golf this year. We haven't seen you too much on the cameras. It's been kind of a slow start just looking at the numbers. How do you feel as a player right now, and where do you feel like those strokes are getting lost?
Well, recently I've been really stressed out with how the results have been going so far, but it's almost all due to my backhand comfortability, and so I've been working so hard on that, and I've seen so much improvements lately on that. I would say this is going to be my best finish of the year.
Well, when you work on your backhand, after all these years, decade plus of playing this game, do you film yourself and work on technique, or is it just getting the feel back on certain shots?
Most of it is the feel. It's mostly feel, but how do you work on that? You try different things, because when we throw it for year after year after year, we forget some of those things that we maybe learned 5-10 years ago. So I experiment with different things, try just about one thing at a time. Don't work on anything more than that, just one thing at a time, and that's all I can do for that.
Well, I watched you on the Jomez practice round, and you threw a couple hilarious grenades out there. Are we going to be seeing any grenades out there in the game plan?
There's always a possibility of that, but there are no tee shot grenades planned for this week.
I think it's heartbreaking for myself and a lot of other people. Are there any shots on tour where that is something that you game plan?
Yeah, there's plenty of holes that I game plan a grenade for, but usually for it to be a high percentage shot, it needs to be about 275. But if it begs for it, I will pull out a further grenade than that with a flippy disc. It's just a little riskier.
Riskier, but for the fun factor, I think the fans are begging for it. But Kevin, thank you so much. Good luck out there this week.
Thank you, Brian.
Hey KJ, Swiss with the disc golf world. You said you've worked on some aspects of your game. Anything mentally that you've been kind of approaching with this, also as far as just form and things of that nature?
All the mental comes from being comfortable with my shot. So all my focus has been on throwing the disc and getting that feel back.
Yep. You've had plenty of highlights at this event. Does that give you any confidence coming back here with the return in the home state?
Yeah, it sure does, but in order to play good out here, you've got to be throwing hard backhands on hyzers, and so that's been my focus for the past few weeks, and I have been seeing great results lately, so I'm excited.
And How does your game line up with this course and some of the changes that it's incurred this past year?
The changes are in my favor, I would say. The ones that I can think of are a par 4 that has taken off some of the left area. It's now out of bounds, so it takes a really hard power hyzer to play through that. That's to my game plan, or that's to my advantage, I would say. And then old hole 17 turned into a par 3. I think it plays really good for a power sidearm, which I've got as well. So
awesome. Obviously, with all these tweaks, have you had the time to work on the music, and can we expect some new music coming out of you?
Yeah, I've definitely got some music coming out. The one that you guys would love to know about is called Frisbee Control, and that one's going to be coming out next.
Well, KJ, thanks for your time. Good luck this weekend, and we'll be back in a few.
Thank you.
And welcoming back Jeremy Koling. Jeremy, hello.
Hi, Brian.
Welcome to Jonesboro. You
Thank
came
you.
off a fantastic victory at Persimmon Ridge last week. First off, talk about the course. We don't get to see it on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. What a facility.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It started just with the beautiful campsite, just having the driving range, putting basket right there in my right, open the door and there it is. And then behind me was the beautiful lake that hole 18 was nestled on. And so, just the property itself was just fantastic. Didn't have to leave or go anywhere all week, which is always so nice. Just no cars, just living in your home, being on the disc golf course, food, entertainment, other friends camping. It's a beautiful place. And the course itself is just fantastic.
Well, you looked fantastic on camera. You played obviously solid enough to take down the victory against a pretty good field. How did you feel out there mentally and physically?
Yeah, I felt really good. The tournament started off challenging. I threw my first, or three of my first 4 drives of the event were out of bounds. And from there, I just kind of settled into a more, I found confidence somehow in the fact that through those bogeys, I was still able to feel confident with my putt and made some good putts to save pars with those OBs. And I don't know, when I'm in a place that I know I'm in the right place, I feel comfortable with my game and I'm not stressed about other things. And I just felt like I was in the right place to be that week. And eventually that comfort led to birdies and stretches of great putting. And my Halo boss was just fighting the wind. We had crazy wind for the last 2 rounds were pretty crazy. And I had the right discs and the right mindset. And like I said, the putt was going down. And so when that's happening, I feel like I'm usually pretty dangerous.
Usually pretty dangerous is a pretty good way to put it. In the Jomez practice round this week here at Jonesboro, you said 18 years it's been. You've committed yourself to this game 18 years.
One year per hole.
Can you bring us in to the highs and lows? Take the media side out of it. Talk about the athlete side of committing your whole self to this sport and kind of transcending multiple generations watching it grow.
At the Northeast Disc Golf Expo, one of the questions asked was, reflecting on your career, what are you most proud of? And I did not expect it, but at that moment I got incredibly emotional because I guess while you're in it, you don't really realize that it's in a place where you can reflect on it yet. Yeah. So I kind of feel that same way right now where, knowing that I'm the veteran, knowing that the guy that's number 1 in the world is less than half my age, it's pretty wild to think that I am in a place where, although I still feel incredibly competitive in the sport, I am definitely at the latter years of my professional touring days. And I'm certainly at a place where if I really sat down and looked back, I could reflect on so many incredible moments. The truth is, I've forgotten more than most of the new players know about disc golf. Like, I have had so many memories. A cherished thing that I get to experience is when people come up and share a memory from something that I said or we experienced together years ago, and I have little recollection of it just because there's so many of those experiences. And it just feels amazing knowing that my DNA and my blueprint is all over the world of disc golf. Yeah. And that to me is, I don't need to know the details. I just know that that's one thing is true, and leaving an impact is all I could ever hope for. Yeah. And trying to reflect on it is impossible, really. It fills me up with incredible emotion, really.
5 minutes isn't enough time, Jerm?
I don't think so.
Well, you're coming off of a win, and again, you looked great out there. Came from the chase card to win the tournament, and now we're here at Jonesboro, and again, in that practice video, you looked great out there too. How does the body feel? How's the game feel?
I feel young again, Brian. I feel like, when you tap into a victory against a strong field, you remember that you can. And, so much of being on tour is remembering that you can't. You're just overwhelmed with the talent that's on tour, and you kind of get this idea that, man, it's going to have to take everything I've got and a little bit of luck on my side. But when you get a win, it kind of refreshes that memory that, like, things can come together. You can play your best game and you can be in contention, and who knows what happens after that. So, yeah, I feel good going into the week. I'm happy to be in Arkansas. Things are good, man.
Jerm, we'll see ya. We'll see you out there this week. Good luck.
Thank you, Brian.
Hey, Jerm.
Hey.
Jefferson from the disc golf world here. Going back to last weekend, hole 18 at Persimmon Ridge has been called the best finishing hole in disc golf. It was certainly a factor in your final round. What was going through your head watching the disc roll from basically a tap-in birdie to over the wall into OB?
I hadn't looked at scores pretty much the entire round until I had a really scary putt on 17, and then I realized, okay, cameras are watching. There's probably a reason they're over here. Let's see what's going on with the scores. I knew that I had Raven, the closest person on the card, by a few shots, but I didn't know where the lead card was. And when I saw that they were 4 back with 4 or 5 to play, I knew that my chances were good, but a birdie on 18 would end it. And I'd birdied the first 2 rounds into pretty nasty headwinds. So the final round in a tailwind, I was like, okay, this is great. I'm going to get a big tee shot. I'll have much less distance to the pin. I trusted my forehand approach. And when the shot came out of my hand, I was like, ooh, baby. But the day before, round 2, if you watch coverage, I rolled away also, but it didn't go over the wall, out of bounds. This time when it rolled OB, it was just like I had flashbacks of hitting the basket at Waco and careening out of bounds and going from an ace to a bogey. And a few other times where things have happened where it was like, can I just not have some dramatic finish? And so just sitting there stunned for about 20 seconds before I regained consciousness, and I was like, oh yeah, I got to go make a putt now. I wasn't necessarily in fear that I had lost the tournament, but it was just like one of those moments where I was like, it'd be really cool to say that I birdied hole 18 all 3 rounds, and also to finish with, just the fireworks of birdieing 5 of the last 6 holes. Just like would have just felt even better than it already was feeling at the current moment. But, we made the putt and got the par, and, the rest is history.
Then I got to know, where does the sword rank in some of your other trophies you've won in your career?
The coolest trophy ever is, without question, still the 2008 Amateur World Disc Golf Championship. The trophies that they made that year there's actually a video on YouTube. You should look this up. 2008 Disc Golf World's trophies, and they're these like wooden dioramas that are hand carved, beautiful things that they added moss and trees and little tiny baskets, and they created disc golf holes out of big pieces of wood. And that's the coolest trophy I've still ever seen. And every division got a unique one that was a different hole. Some of them were from the courses that we played. Some of them were just made up fantasy holes, but those were incredible. However, the sword is really close to the top. I mean, it's a top 5er for sure. It's always been a goal of mine. After I played Greater Hartford Open for the first time and they gave away that huge sword, I always thought, man, I have to have a sword disc golf trophy. And now I can finally say I do.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you for your time. Good luck this weekend. We'll be right back in a few.
Thank you.
Last but not least, we have Matt Orum in the house. Matt, welcome to Jonesboro, or should I say Memphis? You're staying in Memphis, about an hour away this week. How's it been going for you?
I just got in last night with my guy Crawl Daddy. He's my caddy. All that this week, and good old time. Memphis is like, I would say New Orleans is my second home away from home, but Memphis is definitely number 3. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like going back to seeing old times and family, like my man Crawl Daddy.
Yeah.
So it's good times.
Well, you're currently 6th ranked on tour. You're having a pretty solid start to the year. I believe your rating is right around 1045. Having a decent year in disc golf, higher now. Matt, talk about how you've been feeling this season. I know at Austin, you said you were feeling a little bit of nerves.
I did, but I think when we talked about it, I kind of was letting you know that I was done with that and that I was just ready to start having fun again. Mm-hmm. You know, because that's what I do best. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of got the pressure, took it off, and just kind of, I don't know, I'm just enjoying being back playing again. I'm back on the road again. Like, I've been kind of like coming to tournaments and going home a little bit because I've had that luxury being, I wouldn't even call it luxury because we don't get it much. But while I had the chance to do it, I'm doing it. So now I'm doing an 8-week trip. Starting out, I'm driving all the way to California. I ain't done that in a long time. Mm-hmm. All the way to OTB and all the way back. So prepared for the long haul.
After all these years of touring and playing big tournaments all over the world, is it easier or harder to go on these 8-week stretches away from home?
Depends on how long the break was in between the last one. I ain't gonna lie, that's probably actually really true. It gets tougher and easier. It depends on multiple effects, like how my car's running, how I'm playing, how I'm doing in life, all kind of different variables in life. I mean, honestly, that come into play on that. But I still enjoy playing the game, and I love traveling, and I love everything. So no excuses here on what I'm not supposed to be doing.
Well, I'd love to ask you a question. I mean, all touring players know how long some of these drives are from stop to stop. And are you touring by yourself in the car? Is anyone driving with you right now?
Just by myself. My girlfriend's coming to Vegas for me because I decided to play Vegas. I ran over a Christmas tree earlier this year, and I didn't have a car for months. I had developed cabin fever. So when you get cabin fever, you make stupid decisions. So I was like, Vegas and OTB sounds pretty good right about now. So I did it, and now I'm like, damn, I wish I really, because it's just so much, but I'm doing it. But I just, the other night, I was trying to get my girlfriend to fly into Vegas, trying to time it. I said 18 hours from Emporia to Vegas. I was thinking 11. My map thing was also now, it's stuff like that. I'm like, shit, a lot of driving.
Well, talk about those solo drives out west, those 18-hour drives by yourself. Are you the kind of person that likes to reflect deeply on how you've performed and think really deeply, or do you like to just turn the tunes on and kind of hope the drive goes by fast?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think you use the tunes to reflecting on how you're feeling internally, things are going great, hell yeah, I'm playing freaking Ride the Lightning by Metallica and all that good shit I like, and if it's if I'm by myself and I'm dwelling on stuff, it might be some old Modest Mouse or just some old, just depends on the mood of where I'm feeling at the time, my landscapes. But I'm definitely a music guy, 100%.
Yeah.
Don't mess with my radio. Definitely don't mess with my sound quality. I want you to keep it right there. Don't be messing with my treble. Don't be messing with my bass.
Thank you for that, Matt. Well, let's zoom into this week. Again, you're playing great golf right now. At least by the numbers, you're playing great golf. How do you feel right now? Do you feel like you can win this one?
Feel good. I got a little baby crick in my neck. I ain't gonna lie, but besides that, I'm feeling good, and happy to be here. I come here about once every 2 or 3 years, it seems like. So this is not a normal stop for me every year, which people would, because it's one of the closer ones to my house. Yeah. But so it kind of feels refreshed every time I come here and enjoy it. So I'm kind of stoked to be here, seeing the family in Memphis, so it's good.
Well, Matt, good luck out there this week, and just a few more questions for you.
All right.
Hey, Matt. Swiss with the disc golf world.
Swiss.
With an off week, are you one of those players that doesn't touch a disc? Are you still working? What is your flow on an off week?
Off week is, I definitely try to get in as much family time as possible, especially now that I realize how much has been kind of taken away. Not taken away, but after going on tour in 2022, because I kind of maybe went half 50-50 on 2021 when I was still trying to get back on the tour, honestly. And I realized how much went there. And I had a surgery or two, which put me back at home. So then the next year I really realized how lucky I was to have my surgery, unfortunately, to be able to get home during them times, oddly, that I didn't get last year. So I'm kind of starting to realize how precious the home time is. So I definitely played only one round when I was home this last week, which was the same thing I did when I was in Austin the week before, which it worked out pretty good, I think. So, yeah, but I definitely spent as much family time and knock all the stuff I can do. And, you know, it's not been warm mostly time since I've been home, so I get to do warm activities, which is awesome because I hate the freaking cold. I almost slipped up and said a bad one there. But.
You've explained how Westside has been able to help you on tour. You've gone in depth in that. How has it changed having the flexibility that you kind of have to take an off week versus when you were younger, maybe having to grind those out to get the pay and things of that nature?
I think it's, you know, I still have to play the tournament, so it's an obligation on playing the big ones, so I can't not miss those. You know, the only reason I kind of get to miss the West Coast is because it's so far out there and I went to Europe, so it's kind of like one or the other. I feel like this is kind of a judgmental call on which one I want to choose, because doing both of those would be pretty freaking rock starry in my opinion. I don't know, man, that's a lot. But on the body, not the mind. But yeah, dude. Man, just trying to make the most of it, man, when I can.
Awesome. And how does your game line up with this course and the changes that it's seen this year?
Honestly, I think like this one and Preserve are kind of like the hardest tournaments to win on tour, and people look at me like, why? Because you got to play so freaking good at these. There's not as much trouble. Everybody's so damn good with the driver. I mean, everybody's good with the driver. We need wind like this on this course actually to make it even somewhat of a, I think, you know, in my opinion only. But I think that this is one of the harder ones to win on tour just because, you know, a lot of the holes I feel like, I haven't seen the new changes yet though, but I feel like this was one of the harder ones to win on tour, in my opinion, just because you have to play so almost perfectionist and have everything go your way too.
Great. Thank you for your time. Good luck this weekend, and we'll be right back in a few.
Roll, Todd.